Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. How is everyone doing today? Entering some significant potential double top territory. It's eerily quiet, as said by Sterling. Good morning, Sterling, as said by Sterling. But first in today was John Schmidt, at least first in with the comments, beating everybody else. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Mark. Yes, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy. So, good morning, Jacob. Hey, good morning, Anissa. How are you doing? Hope everything is going well for you. People in the background. Hello, Charles. Hey, jump on in. Jump on in if you're on YouTube and can put in a comment. No, I can't see the comments. Well, if you're on Twitter or something else, reply to the video, comment, put something, tweet something, or what do you put now? Why did you rename it? Can't it just always be Twitter? It's not X. Come on. Good morning, Legion Reaver. Hey, Richard. How you doing? We got the regulars here. Can we get some likes? Come on, let's get some broader reach for this channel. Let's put some broader reach out there. Let's get some more likes, please. Especially the regulars. Doesn't take long to like the video. Or dislike the video. Doesn't really matter. All right. How's it looking this Friday? By the way, this is the kind of Friday I get really cautious on because we had the European ramp session. We've got a lot of Fed speak. This morning. And so a lot of times we might digest some of the gains. We also hit some key levels. So this is the kind of day that again, historically, this is my personal thing. My worst trading day of the week is Friday. The worst. And it actually, when I've done some study with patterns and everything, there tends to be more digestion of profits, more reversal signals that don't necessarily follow through. It's probably why it's not like I want to start the weekend early, which is why the trading's done. But you know what? There's plenty of days that you can start the weekend early if there's just no setups. Now, until that happens, we got Bowman speaking, 9 a.m. Eastern, right now. We've got consumer sentiment, preliminary numbers for May. Remember, these are preliminary. And we keep an eye on the inflation expectations. Do not get caught off guard 30 minutes after the cash open. We got Kashkari speaking. Also, 30 minutes after the cash open. We got Goolsby speaking at lunchtime. We got Barr speaking after lunch. Don't know if they can say anything that will really sway the markets, but you never know. Other than that, it's a very quiet day. Very quiet day. So, hold on, I got one of my dogs in here. One of my doggies in here live streaming with me today. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Options 22. Good morning, Jake the Steak. I'm calling it how do you say that? Zeet? Well, I mean, would the X sound really like a Z? Like Z? I don't know. Why do you have to rename it? It'll always be Twitter. My heart will stick with Twitter. All right. That's enough on that. Remember, next week, Monday, we got more Fed speak, but next week really kicks it off. So, especially with Wednesday, the CPI numbers on Wednesday, my birthday next Wednesday. So I hope everybody shows up for my birthday. Like that really matters. We've got the chips. Let's buy the chips. Let's buy the chips this morning. There's nothing going out in earnings. Oil's still trying to put in a little bounce. Google off a bit. Meta. Is Meta going to fill the gap, the earnings gap, before it rolls over again? We will see about that. In terms of groups, basic materials, technology, energy, real estate, everything. Well, everything except consumer cyclical and comm services, probably comm services due to Google's weakness, is down. That's the only thing that's down. Fed watch still cut. Nothing to talk about there. Fear and greed, back to neutral mode. Neutral mode. So now can it keep going? Yes. But I was watching for that bounce out of fear. Let's look at the patterns in 1 second. By the way, in terms of earnings, again, nothing. This is really, you still have a fair amount of companies reporting, but nothing that's significantly going to change the market direction. There actually even wasn't anything I was looking at yesterday after the close or this morning. So let's take a look. We got the S&P futures. We track the minis here. Officially double top territory potential. So let's take a look at that weekly. Here's what's fascinating. I've covered this before, but why? Because this is from a longer-term portfolio management. Could be a very strong inflection point. Now, there could be some front-run patterns to this, but especially if this climbs a bit more and keeps pulling up the rotation zone, but at a minimum, if this were to trigger with at least a daily close followed through by the weekly close below this 49.63, we could start a more substantial pullback. So from a longer-term trailing position from the low reversal, the percent B buy at the end of October last year, this would be a fantastic time to at least put a catastrophe stop. Because if this triggers, it could easily return to the breakout zone and more. And more. If it followed through with a close below 45.76.50, we could see a retest of that low October area and the 200 week. Now, why I'm pointing this out also is because we are rotating back up. The trend is still bullish. This might never trigger. If we come up and rally above what's this, like 854.85 level, it takes the potential double top off the table. It's back to rah mode. It's back to rah. But we did hit that key stuff. So the next, we're coming into another target area. I have some other targets also with the spiders. Also, if we want to do the forward harmonics, if we put these on, just the forward harmonics, this was a fantastic pausing bar. So if we come up from the lows on the 19th of April to the pausing bar this last Tuesday. Why is it a pausing bar? Because you have another bar that pulls back and doesn't exceed that high. So that gave us a daily pausing bar, just like this was a pausing bar. You don't necessarily need a huge drop. You just need a bar that doesn't take out the prior day's high and gives a pause. That's why it's a pausing bar. A drop bar could create a pausing bar or a sideways bar like this. Why do I do that? Because it gives me an intermediate and another full target area. So that gave me 32.0375. The high, give me 52. Hold on. I can't see my number. I misspoke, but I know it went through there. 52.5975. That's why I was confused. 52.59. You see here? Right there. And we get the pullback. So we're getting the pullback after the European ramp up, going into the open. So we may retest these high areas. But we also have a significant level at 52.64. Now, we blow through those levels, and I'm not talking today necessarily, because I would actually be a little shocked, but you got to prepare for everything. If we really plow through those levels, the next cluster area, remember, even though we put in double top territory, with the close above the 62.5, the next magnet price is this 52.8725 to 52.9250, because now I have a cluster. And see this area right in here. So we had a gap open up here, a gap open, a close just slightly below that level, a close at that level, and then a candle running away from it, a candle spiking through that level and reversing much lower. We have another significant level, about 52.95. So this is a very, very strong. We got a price action cluster, we got a harmonic, a forward harmonic, and we got a retracement harmonic. So if we do continue above these levels that we just set, then that's the next major magnet price. On a pullback level, the major support is around yesterday's low with the rising rotation zone. The key support I'll be looking at today on any weakness coming in is the prior 75 harmonic with the 4-hour rotation zone. The top of the 4-hour rotation zone was just 52.41 going if we have weakness into the open. Let's see who else is here. Let's see. I said good morning after 22, didn't I? NVIDIA closed below 62.5 yesterday, 88. Does it matter? We can look at NVIDIA. All right, Bowman's not commentarying on policy and the economy. Thank you for putting that in, Sterling. Oh my, your tune has changed since getting out of Chicago? What do you mean my tune has changed? Please elaborate, Richard. Besides me being happier in the desert weather, Fed policy should proceed carefully and deliberately. Do they just have to hear themselves speak? Because that's all right. If it's not proceeding deliberately and carefully, all right, then, or is it proceeding recklessly and carelessly? I mean, do we have to say that? I think they just like to hear themselves speak at this point. Oh, I'm so important. I'm a Fed official. I need to say something. We need to proceed deliberately and carefully. You're going to screw up no matter what, guys. Sorry, guys and gals. You're going to screw something up. We should just have a rule. We should come up with a rule. Let's come up with the equation. Let's do the best we can, and let's put that in place. Rate hikes and cuts become somewhat automatic. It'd do better than these clowns. And I'm not talking the recent. I've been on this since Greenspan. I think my tipping point was 1996 when irrational exuberance. You know what? We don't know we're in a bubble till it's popped. Like, okay, then you people are morons. NASDAQ came pretty gosh darn close, but did not officially hit the 75 level. Now, we had a little mini double top, which triggered on the 730 bar. I mean, it could have triggered, you see here, right here, here's your little, it had a channel pullback, a rotation back up from that channel. This was something I was watching since early this morning. We had this little channel pullback. It broke out. And this on the short-term basis could not quite eke out, but at least got above that 75. Could not quite eke out that. And then we had the reversal coming back down, hitting the full target area. Now bouncing. Now the good old bounce. So, what do you think on the continued rally? What do you think the targets are for me? On the bounce back up into the open. 18,277, 18,284. You close back above 18,284. I'll be watching for a return, not necessarily today, but early next week to 18,310. All right, that's the structure. If it breaks down below here, another key support is 18,200. That's my major key support on any pullback. That's my short-term major support. My longer term is 18,090 to 18,100. Eric, what are you? Morning, Mike. I backtest manually. Could you tell me the difference in probabilities of a double going into rotation zone as opposed to going with the rotation zone? Estimate by percentage. It's about 7% difference, but it depends on markets. Some are a little more, some are slightly less. But that's why I'm very cautious with things going against the rotation zone. For example, prime example of that. With gold, that's why I said I'd be looking at gold. This would not be something I'd be looking for shorts. I'd be looking for the pullback areas. Where did gold catch with this double? On the first target. What has it done? Very interesting with gold. Look at the setup on the weekly basis. If we look at our percent B, last week was minus 0.03. All right? So what became very, very clear to me was we got to watch last week's high. Now, there may be front run patterns, but look what we've done. Guess what I'm watching now? The close, to see where we close in relation to last week's high. All right. And then we have this 2343 level, which we've gapped beyond today. So, channeled, caught on the first target against the weekly rotation zone. That's why you got to be more. If you're trying to take something against a rotation zone, from my perspective, you got to be nimble. You got to be nimble if you're trying to go against, because the longer term trend is still up. So you could be going against the daily, but this is a gold, very strong trend against the weekly rotation zone. By the way, the Dow, jumping back to the Dow, we've hit also, look at that. Potential double top territory. Doesn't mean this has to stop. But on the Dow, this low of 37,463 is critically important now. Critically important. What's the next target? 39,996. So back to 40K is the next target up, though. So keep an eye on that. Russell, not yet there. Russell, remember yesterday, I think I put this on in the, I covered this. Russell completed its little double. Stalling out, look at the amount of time it stalled out the third target. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, triple top. And then breaking out. So, now, the key next area for the Russell is 2104. Trading against the prior, you see here, classic example. Resistance, resistance, retesting support, rotating up, now retesting that level on the higher term basis. So, if we break back down, the next area to really pay attention to is the rising 4-hour rotation zone. The prior, another significant area on a closing basis with the candles with the prior rotation zone, 2080. The VIX, all the way back down. Look at that. No, absolutely no fear going into next week. The DAX coming up. pretty close to the next cluster area. Not quite there yet. 18,980. Major support coming in at 18,838. Yes, the potential double's still in play. If it goes through 19,121, it's off. Notes: the little 4-hour trigger of this sloppy double, a rally back up, but no close above the 62.5, and that's still because it did not hit stop reduction. And this is a messed up pattern because of this spike down. I think it's actually invalid. Yeah, take this one off. It may still go down, but here's the deal. The key area's got to break is 1818. I messed up on that one. 10-year. Going into next week, I'm paying very close attention to yesterday's high for next week. That high on the yield basis is 4.514. We haven't looked at 10-2s in a while, and we still don't need to look at the 10-2s. Dollar index, after hitting the first and second targets, just hanging out here. Nothing to look at today. Crude, getting a little tired right around here, but there's nothing. We're getting back to daily cycle topping area. We'll be watching for on any pullback for a more substantial bottom to form. Gold, which we already looked at, still remember, today watch if it closes above last week's high for a follow through with the percent B buy. And that's on a longer term basis. Copper, you still have the potential double. This spike up did not invalidate it, but it went through a very major cluster area finally. Remember, oh geez, I can't take it anymore. It went through this little, I should have said minor area. But with this kind of candle reversal, it needed to get above 475.15 to invalidate the potential double top. Did not do it. So we still have the potential double top. And by the way, that would be out of the way on the daily rotation zone, but you'd be pulling back into the weekly rotation zone as questioned earlier. Yen climbing back that 50% retracement area, but not quite there yet. Euro, not much to talk about just yet. We have not hit the 75 harmonic, so there's no potential double yet. So there's nothing for me to look at here yet. All right, spiders. Let's get to the important stuff. Spiders, next, 520.77, looking to open 521.72. So this will have passed the 87.5 harmonic. The next minor level, based off the same pausing bar, like I showed in the futures, this happened to be a red bar in the spiders, but from the lows of the 19th to the pausing bar of the 7th, the high of the 7th, gives me 521.66, and then we have the next cluster area at the prior highs from the end of March. But 521.66, right about where we're going to be opening. If we roll over, you got the magnet price to yesterday's close, 520.17. Minor, I go to 520.77, then I go to 520.17. I would be cautious coming up to the prior highs at 523.83. So my zone is, especially to aggressively raise a stop, again, from my perspective, would be between 523.83 to the prior high area of 524.61. On the longer term basis, you have the massive potential double top. The Qs, which also has confirmed the double top. Remember, the futures have not, but the Qs and the cash have. Right now, the next magnet price 444.81. Pre-market trading roughly 442.50. So that's the next pretty strong magnet price. On any pullback today, we'd be looking at roughly my first pullback area would be the high from Tuesday, 441.97, and then it would be to the gap fill, 441.02. Good old Bitcoin, not much going there. Nvidia, as again, from the retracement levels, it's closed above the 62.5. Remember, it invalidated the prior double, okay, after it got to the first target, invalidated that, closed back above the 62.5, hits that 75, flagging pullback right now. Technically, it's triggered this little flagging channel. Would not really bother with these. This would not be any short targets again. These would just be pullback targets. Still, we'll be watching because on a weekly basis, NVIDIA's in double top territory. This is one side of the top. We can form another side. So this becomes a critical level for any breakdown play. You're welcome, Jacob. The ODTE iron condors I've been trading have not been as profitable, but I actually think because the volatility is depressed right now. More energy, thank you. I'm still here. I hope this picked up again. I don't know if anybody's still watching. Let me know in the comments. Sunshine and no gunshot equals optimism. I'm actually not optimistic on the markets in the long term, but I'm in a better mood. All right. Okay, let's just see. I need to look at the S&P open. We need to look at the tick real quick first. It's very open and then spike up above 1,000 and then the pullback. So again, I'll sound like a broken record watching the key support to hold on the pullback. Let's take a look at these harmonics. So going to be watching at least on that short-term basis 52.56. I need a 15-minute close unless we have strong momentum above that. 52.56 so far. So that's where we sit. All right. I think I answered that. All right. Hey, Patrick. Yeah, it stopped. It stopped. Yeah, if you didn't hear me, I still can't get a landline internet here. It's not that this isn't a bad location. It's that the city of Scottsdale tore up a sidewalk and severed the connection. And now who knows when Cox will get that put back in. It could be months. So I'm working with a dual cellular load balanced solution that sometimes might have an issue. But we're, again, watching. It looks like we're getting momentum through that level. We've got the tick still pulling back, but the markets, even with this tick pullback, is starting to go higher. So I'm watching for key support, but I will be cautious if we retest the European open highs, which we're looking to, not the European open highs, it's the, ramped up. That's the European midday highs. I'm watching for a potential top year price action there. And by the way, with this short term, the only key thing that will have me watching for a bigger pullback right now let's just see, is if it gets below 52.49.50. So that's where that sits. I'm not ready for the apocalypse. Why would I be ready for an apocalypse? I just have to get creative solutions. NQ on open high after VWAP. Yeah, and remember the NASDAQ still has that magnet price. By the way, is the NASDAQ still in? Yeah, NASDAQ has not invalidated the little double. It'd have to get through 18,321. So if it goes through 18,321, it's got a little mini potential double here. That would be off the table. And also remember the next key area. There's some minor stuff, minor price rejection pattern around 18,350. But then up to 18,500, you start going into clear path move. Okay? And the NASDAQ officially now entered double top territory. So I think we have every market, every of the four majors, but the Russell is in potential double top territory. Again, does not mean they might never trigger. It could just keep going. So you don't say, oh, I'm going to get short up here. No, the price is still up. It's got to do a lot of damage before those would ever trigger. With all my workarounds, well, I wouldn't be streaming if I didn't have the workarounds. Because there'd be no way for me to. It's not just for the trading stuff and other stuff. It's in my wife's work also. It's for everything we do. Else, what is pretty hard to live these days without internet. Pretty hard to live. But Cox doesn't seem to understand that. Using overnight lows for the retracements, we bounced off the 50 and closed over to 62.5. Huh? Legion Reaver, which mark you got to put in the market? Which one are you referring to? Overnight high low. Guys are starting to learn. Really getting this down. All right. For the DXY forever. 4-hour double bottom? Not anymore. This is not if you're watching on the 1 hour, you had a potential double bottom that's now turned into a triple. It never closed above the peak on the time frame that it was set up on, and now it's turned into a triple. So there's nothing there anymore. Thank you, Legion Reaver. By the way, did you get my response in Discord? All right, with that, I got to jump. Now we have enough time to set up into the open. I have to jump. With that, I shall talk to everyone on Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Take some time, from my perspective, away from the computer. Enjoy some time with family and friends. And we're heading into warmer weather, so please do something fun and outside. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Bye for now.